All right, welcome everyone. So my name's Brittany Hayes, and I'm super excited to be on here tonight with Fayre. I recognize some of your faces, some of you are new. Thank you for hopping on and taking the time to invest in yourself tonight and learn. Our last social media basics Zoom we got so much feedback from a lot of you, and y'all were asking for like more, more support, more things you could learn after that. So we decided to put together a branding Zoom for everyone. And one thing I want to preface before we jump in and get started is like, there's going to be some things that you learn tonight that you can implement right away. And there's going to be some things that maybe you feel a little overwhelmed about, and that's okay. Like take notes, write things down, because we're both big believers in done is better than perfect. So don't, overcomplicate things and be like, oh, I don't know how to do that, so I'm just not going to do it at all. Like so much of what we're going to share will get easier as you just start putting things tips we give you into practice. So I just want to give everyone that reminder, because especially those of you that maybe are new to social media, maybe you've been in the industry before, but you built your business a different way, or maybe this is just your first time altogether. Some of it might seem like a lot, but it won't in a couple months from now. So just keep that in mind. Okay. When I first got started in this industry with our last company, which is actually where I met Mike, I had literally like 200 followers on Instagram. I only posted like once every like 6 to 8 weeks for my family out of state to see like pictures of my kids. So I share that to say my social media wasn't always like it is now. I had to learn, just like so many of you are in that learning phase. So my best advice is just, keep committing to learning something new every day. And it might feel overwhelming for a season, but it won't forever.
Yeah.
So, Fayre, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name's Fayre Monteclavo, and I could not agree more with Brittany there. When I started, I'm from a really small town in Illinois, like 300 people. I'm not even joking, like so tiny. And then I moved to Florida. I knew nobody, and I was like, how in the world am I going to do network marketing on social media when I have 300 friends that live in a cornfield, 20,000 miles away from me? And so you really just, if you're new to this industry, or you're new to like even really posting on social media, because I didn't post. I was just like Brittany, I dropped a few pictures of my kids for my family back home, and that was that. It does take time, but we're not going to overcomplicate it. I always say that, like, don't overcomplicate it. We're just going to start with the basics, and you will be able to brand yourself. You will be able to grow your following, and you will be successful if you just keep showing up. And I'm sorry, you guys, my daughter has a really bad cough. She's of course not in bed, so sorry for the background noise. If I mute myself, it won't let me unmute though, Brittany. So I don't know if you want to mute me sometimes if she's hacking up a lung.
Yeah, if it gets loud, I'll just mute you.
Is he not downstairs?
Oops,
Hold on. All right, there we go. Make sure I got everybody else muted. Okay, go ahead, Fayre.
That was all I was going to say. It's just
okay.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and just keep going through the motions, keep showing up to these Zooms, keep implementing what we teach, and you will be able to be successful in this business.
100%. Okay, so we're going to get started kind of just talking about your 5 pillars. Some of you, this may be, something you've already long figured out. Some of you might be a new concept, but even those that maybe you have already thought about this before, it's always a good refresher. I know like Fayre and I have talked about this where we when we started, this adventure, like really like getting clear on like, have any of those things changed? Like, are there, have I evolved since the last time I really analyzed this? So that being said, first things first, before we jump into any, actual tips when it comes to branding, is knowing like what your brand is. Like, what are 5 things that you want people to think of when they come to your page? What are 5 things that you stand for? So I'll just give you some examples. Like, everyone on here should be health and wellness, because if you're not passionate about health and wellness, why are you in a health and wellness company? So health and wellness, it could be like, I know Fayre is a realtor, so, I'll let her share hers, but like one of hers could be real estate and her passion for that. But like it could be family. Maybe you're a really big family person. You really want to share, family values, the importance of, raising your kids a certain way, marriage, whatever. Like there's different things to do with family. You could get more concise, but you could start broad with just family. So maybe it's your faith, your family, health and wellness, financial freedom. And then maybe you're really passionate about, something in particular. Maybe you really love tennis, or you really love plants. You've got a lot of plants in your house, like it could be so many different things. And I'm just throwing out random examples to get you thinking. But start writing down as we're talking, like, what are my 5 pillars? And maybe you've only thought of 3 and you need help after. Maybe you go to your enroller or, one of the team chats and you brainstorm like, hey, like, I'm kind of like struggling with what my last one should be, or my last 2. For some of you, it might be really easy. And some of you, maybe you do need to kind of like talk with someone and brainstorm. And obviously, at the end, we'll be answering questions. So definitely put anything in the chat that you would like us to kind of cover and give insight on. as we go, because we can cover that. But your 5 pillars is huge. If you don't know what you stand for and you're just kind of all over the place, it's going to be really, really hard to attract your ideal audience, and it's just going to feel like you're just throwing stuff out there, seeing what sticks. However, when you're really clear and people know kind of what they're getting when they come to your page, you're going to find that you start building a loyal following. I'll give you guys like one little example of like videos I make that have nothing to do with business necessarily, but it does attract me like an audience that feels like, I'm relatable to them and what I share resonates with them. I was married for 10 years and I got divorced in 2020. And so I share a lot about like rebuilding, healthfully. Joe and I'll do reels where, we share, because we were both married for 10 years and we both have a completely different reality together today than we used to have, previously. And so we'll share like little, just like quick tips of like, conflict resolution or healthy communication or like how things are different, and those reels always do really, really well. People love that. And here's the thing, maybe you've been married you've only ever been married once and you've been married for 20, 30 years. That's great. Maybe there's things you've learned throughout that time that you could share. And that's going to attract people that really respect you and are like, wow, I never thought about that. That's such a good perspective. So even if like something specific we're sharing isn't relatable to you, but there's something you like about it, I encourage you to like kind of dissect, like, well, how could that still be, relevant for you? I share a lot about just like healing in general, like healing our mindsets, healing from trauma. I know I've seen Fayre post a lot about that too. So again, like the more relatable you are, the more you're going to attract your people. So don't be afraid to like pick, like for one of your topics, one of your pillars, don't be afraid to share in like a very vulnerable way, things that you've learned or why you're passionate about that, because that is going to, draw those people into you. So Fayre, what do you want to add on to that? I know you're really strong in like your foundation, but I know you've got so many different tips. So
I'm pretty solid in my 5 pillars, and mine are different from other people's, but really it's just like when you're trying to think about those five pillars, it's like, what do you do? Who are you? What do you do for a living? So for me, I've got a few different avenues because I was full-time network marketing for many, many years. And I'll be honest with you, I started getting depressed being home all the time. So I went back to bartending 2 days a week, and I don't post a lot about that because it's 2 shifts a week. I'm there like 12 hours per week, but in my stories, I'll post about it and be like, I'm so thankful I don't have to do this anymore, but I like to do it for my social media. So you have to, who are you? And I'm a realtor, so I post about that, but predominantly I'm a network marketer. So you're going to see that's most of my content, but what do you do? What do you do? So the health and wellness obviously goes with that, but just like if you're writing notes right now, like what do I do? What defines me? Who are you trying to help? What's your niche? Who's your audience that you're trying to help? For me, my biggest, the thing that pulls at my heartstrings the most is when I found this industry. I was a broken single mom of 4. So I always am looking to help single moms, single dads, that's fine too. But for me personally, it's just like I relate most to a single mom who's in a dark place. What makes you different? What makes you stand out from all these, influencers online and stuff like that? You can't just like be like, okay, I'm going to go pick somebody and I'm going to do exactly what they do, because that's not you. That's not going to be you. So what makes you different from others, and why should people trust or follow you? Brittany just talked about sharing some vulnerable stuff. I'm telling you guys, when you share vulnerable things, that's when people relate the most. Nobody relates to the person with $1 million in their bank account and the cleanest house on earth. Like most people relate to the person that's struggling, that's like, oh my gosh, these kids keep dirtying up my house, like that's the most relatable stuff. So clarifying your message, just, in finding those pillars, what do you do? Who do you help? What makes you different? And why should people trust and follow you?
Yep, absolutely. And if there is something that you feel like you have kind of like perfected, so to speak, like maybe your house used to be a wreck, you couldn't get laundry under control, and now like you're killing it. Like share it from a place of like, hey, like I was you and I have found a solution and like, here's what I'm doing, because people love taking tips from people that they feel like, they can relate to. So like, don't approach it from a place like snobby, like I'm better than you, I've got all this figured out, but approach it from a place of like, hey, if like you're tired of this being your reality, like here's 3 things that I've been doing to stay on top, and it has been a game changer. You'll find that especially, women on here, like moms will really, really cling to that, because everyone feels like they're falling short from day to day. And so I encourage you, like, if there are things that you're like, these are my strengths, like I'm really good at these, and I know not everybody is, start approaching, like thinking of like, how can I share these tips? How can I share this value from a way that like, it's going to inspire people. I've got someone on my team right now that's been going through, a lot of stuff, and she has a lot of kids like I do. And she's reached out to me and she's like, hey, like, can we do a call and like brainstorm like how I can get my life in order? Because you seem like you do have some of these things in order, but I know you know how I feel because you've got the same family dynamic. And I'm like, absolutely. And so like, that's the difference of like approaching things like you're like sharing your strengths in a way where it's going to inspire someone versus like, oh, I can't relate to any of those problems because I have no problems. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. I want to share on here for, especially for the recording, so all the men can hear. Mick just shared in the chat, you know, his 5 pillars are like health and wellness, family, faith, freedom, golf, and fishing. Perfect. Like if you're a guy on here and you're struck, because I hear it a lot from like men on the team, they'll be like, okay, well, like, you know, all the girls are posting this, this, and this. Like, what do I do? There you go. Like most men like some type of hobby, like golfing, fishing, you know, whatever. Or maybe like you really like doing DIY stuff, or you really like fixing things. You know, there's so many different ways that you can approach it. My husband does a lot of like workout reels and things like that, where he'll just, you know, try to inspire other men by just sharing simple things that he's doing, because we have a crazy life. Like we don't have time to go spend hours and hours at the gym and have these crazy regimens, but you know, we do the best with what we can. And so like him sharing like little simple things like that has inspired men. He's had people reach out to him that are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start doing that. Like, thanks for that simple tip. So I encourage you, for the guys on here, like, you know, Mick just shared some great ones. I gave you a couple others, but like, don't overcomplicate it. Just like, think of like, what is a way that you can show up that would inspire, you know, other men in your area, men your age, you know, men out there that you want to be able to bring into your circle. Another thing that really ties into 5 pillars, and Fayre hit on this, is like telling your story. You want to know like what your story is. Like Fayre mentioned, you know, she shares like, I was broken, I was a single mom, I was bartending, blah, blah, blah. Like you're going to tell your story in 1,000 different ways on 1,000 different days. But the point is you want to tell it and get creative at like telling it differently, but in a way where people still, you know, those potentials that you have on the sidelines, they're reading it, and every day they read it in a different way. It's tugging on their heartstrings, you know, they're like, man, like she gets me, man, that was me. Because that's where you're going to be able to show people like that little glimpse of like, okay, here's where I'm at right now. That's where they came from, and they're here now, you know? And even those of you that are new in the business and you're like, oh, I don't have this huge success to share, that's okay. Like when I was in my first company, my first check was like $100. My second check was $200. My third check was like $400. Like my checks literally just kept doubling every single month until I started making 5 figures a month. And I had what was considered a slow start in the company. Like there was a rank that a lot of people were hitting. It'd be kind of comparable to silver here, maybe a little bit lower of a rank than silver, but nonetheless, people were hitting it and getting this bonus, like their first like month, their first 2 months. And I didn't hit it until 5 months, and I didn't get the bonus because I was way past the deadline to get the bonus. But what happened was I just kept showing up and sharing like, oh my gosh, my check just doubled again. Like what other company, you know, what other job could you have that your check doubles every month? That's not a lie. My check was doubling. I didn't let it phase my confidence that it was 100 to 200 to 400. I just kept sharing it like that. And that excitement ended up, you know, starting to become contagious. And by my 6th month in the company, not only had I double promoted, but I had all these people reaching out. I'll never forget. It was like this 1 month I signed like 9 people in a week, and everyone said the same thing, like some variation of the same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing that you're doubling your commission check? Like, I want to do that. And it was crazy to like realize like, wow, I didn't have to make 6 figures to inspire people to join. Like I just had to be excited about what was happening. So maybe your first check with Immunotech was $80, and maybe your next one was like 120. Like just share like, oh my gosh, my check's going up even more each month. Like I think so often we overcomplicate and we think like we have to have all this amazing success. But if that was true, none of us would ever be successful, because we would have never inspired anybody to get to the success point. So I hope that can kind of get your wheels turning. Like, where did you come from? Where can people identify themselves in your story? And then in what way can you like inspire people that that's no longer your reality? Even if you're not exactly where you want, even if you haven't, I just accidentally clicked for someone to unmute, just ignore it. I was trying to mute someone else. So, but yeah, even if, you know, you're still working to where you want to be, the fact that you're showing people that you are finding a way out and you're, you know, running that track to get out of where you were, that is going to show those people like, man, like if she can do it, I can too. Do you have anything to add to that, Fayre?
No, just, well, when you're saying authenticity is, I think, the word that just comes to mind.
Yeah.
Saying all that is just being authentic when you're sharing your story. it's so important that you're just transparent and authentic. And like Brittany said, like writing your story, it's the same story. You just learn how to write it different ways. But it's people are going to learn to trust you when you're continuously telling the exact same story over and over. Obviously, it's not just a story, it's your life story. And so just being authentic as you're sharing, I think is so, so important in branding yourself.
Yeah, no, it's so, so true. So we've kind of gone over like, what do we stand for? How are we going to talk about it? Now we're going to kind of jump into like more of the nitty gritty of branding and like how you want to like really like keep your social media. I'm not saying be perfect, but like in a way that's like kind of uniform. Like people start to like become familiar when they see something come out, you know, if they're watching stories and your story comes up, they immediately know it's yours just because of a few telltale signs. So, color schemes, fonts, these are some things I want to kind of dive into. If you're new on social media, I don't want this to overwhelm you, but I'm just going to give you guys like some quick little examples that you can kind of like just start brainstorming. So highlights on Instagram. If you haven't made any, definitely make them. I'm lowering my exposure so y'all can see, but these are highlights. It's basically just stories that you're putting in a highlight. So like, I have one, you guys are, you know, welcome to look at mine. My Instagram is just my name, Brittany Hayes. But I have one that says my health, and that's like people following my health journey. I've got growth where I just share like podcasts I'm listening to, audiobooks. So any of that stuff I put in my story, I can just add those quickly to that highlight. I've got my love, which is just stuff of me and Joe. That's all those reels I was telling you, couples reels we make. I've got travel, fashion. Some of these are old that I had from a long time ago, and I've just kind of kept them in here. Family, clean food. So through my health journey, we've completely gone like gluten-free, dairy-free, no seed oils, no sugar, you know, basically all the things you can think of, no processed food. We don't have any of that. Everything's coming from like raw fruits and veggies, you know, stuff we're cooking from scratch. And so I've been putting all those in a highlight that just says clean food when I put stuff in my story, because that inspires a lot of people. Some people think it's just so hard to eat healthy, and they'll see some of the stuff we make. And we've got like a weekly email recipe list we send out and stuff. And I get a lot of feedback where people are like, oh my gosh, like I would have never thought going gluten-free and dairy-free was that simple. I'm like, yeah, it's really not. Like there's so many, you know, so many like substitutes we found. So for some of you that are, you know, also kind of doing that same type thing where you're eating really clean, that's a great highlight idea, or a great, you know, even a part that could be one of your pillars. I've got supplements. So I put all my stories about all of our products in supplements. Beauty, collabs, freedom, and then Southwest Florida, where I just have like pretty beach pictures and palm tree pictures and all that. So you can see it's nothing crazy. You don't have to start with that many. You could literally start with like 3. But what I want to say is like, be thinking like now as we're talking, like, what kind of colors do you want people to think of if when they see you? Like if you create something from scratch, or if you do a colored background post, like what, you know, what do you want to be known as? So for me, like a lot of my stuff is light pink. I like all the feminine colors. So you can see like my highlight covers are just pink and white. These type of things you can literally make on Canva for free, and you can literally make them in like 5 minutes. So if you go to Canva and you literally just type in story highlights or Instagram highlights, there will be so many things that come up, and you can take one that's already created and just save it to your phone and use it. Or like what I did was I found one that was this color pink, and they were writing on it in white. Like they were writing the words like, so health, growth, you know, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted like a little cute little something. So I just deleted the writing, and then I just like went to graphics and typed in sun, found a cute little sun, changed it from yellow to white, boom, made it, saved it, and then I just put it on all my highlights. So something that literally took me 3 minutes, and then I just went and slapped it on as the color. So again, for some of you, this might be like, whoa, what are you talking about? But just write it down, because it's something that like maybe you get to in 2 weeks if you don't really want to, you know, you don't have the capacity right now to get to it now. And for those of you that do know what I'm talking about, and you're like, oh, that's simple, I'm going to do that tonight before bed, you know, great. I just saw Marzia put in the chat, her colors are teal, purple, lime. So see, that's perfect. Like be thinking of like, you know, just like Mick was able to throw out his pillars, Marzia was able to throw out her colors. Like if you don't know those things right now, that's okay. But like be thinking on this Zoom, like, what are those things? Or what colors do I like? You know, maybe
It's my logo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe it's black and gold. Maybe it's pink and white like mine. Maybe it's, you know, something else. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong answer, but just like think of some things that you want to be known as. Back to colors. When I share reels in my story, you can actually change the background of your story. Like if you got a video behind it or a picture behind it, to any color. I'm going to show you guys how to do that real quick. So this was a picture today of like my daughter and her teacher at school. So if I want to change this background that's around it, all you're going to do is you're going to click the dots at the top. And then you're going to click draw. When you click draw, all these colors at the bottom come up. You click which color you want. So I clicked light pink because that's what I use. And then you literally just press and hold the background. And then it changes. And I somehow colored over the picture. It's not supposed to do that, but y'all get the point. If you share a reel, it's really easy and it won't color over the video. You just literally do the background. The video will still be there in the middle. You can resize the video if you need more room to write. But that's a simple way that you can like keep your branding consistent. You know what I mean? Like anytime if someone's watching stories, I guarantee you, like if they followed me for a while, when they see a video come up with pink behind it, they're like, oh, that's Brittani. Because not a lot of people do it. And it takes me literally 5 seconds before I post it. So most of the tips we're going to give you guys tonight, I hope y'all see, like, it's not things that take crazy amount of time. They're just little intentional moments that can just set you apart. And then same thing with fonts. I pretty much always use the poster font on Instagram when I'm writing stuff, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you look at my stuff, you'll see it, but it's just like this writing, that's the poster font. There's a ton of different fonts on Instagram. I encourage you to look at them all, pick the one that's your favorite and just stick to it. Because again, like little things that you do consistently will set your content apart, where people will just start becoming really familiar with it. And you'll find that it just starts to do better. People watch stuff more frequently and things like that. So what about you, Fayre? What are some
that was part of my notes too, is just visual identity, choosing brand, colors, fonts, a vibe, you know, like Brittani does a lot of beach stuff. I do a lot of boating and water stuff, like a vibe. Like, what is your vibe? Where do you spend most of your time? And like, I realize not everybody lives in sunny Florida. So it might be mountains, it might be desert, or maybe your vibe is just literally in your nice house, like whatever. It doesn't have to be like super fancy or the same thing, but just stick with it. Like I love to do a lot of reels outdoors in Florida because obviously we have, you know, beautiful scenery, but like it creates a vibe where people are like, she's always on a boat or she's always on the beach or whatever, you know. So pick like a vibe. And the font thing, I'm big on that too, because at first I was trying to be real creative and like always change my font, and then I realized that it was too chaotic looking. Like if you go to my Instagram is still, you know, I'm still always learning Instagram. If you go to it, I realized it wasn't very aesthetically pleasing to see all those different fonts. So then I switched over and I pretty much stick to the same like 2 fonts. Poster is one of my favorites too, because it's just easy to read. And if you're doing the shorts with a lot of words, like Brittani and I coached on our last social media Zoom, it's really important that you want them to be able to read it. You want them to watch it a couple times, but it needs to be a font that is, you know, visually, like the cursive one. I tried using that a few times and I was like, some of these young kids don't even know cursive anymore, you guys. So like a simple font is best. So yeah, visual identity, like who are you? What's your vibe? Who are you trying to attract? The color scheme, I got to get better about that. I don't have a scheme. I'm literally like the most morbid person and I wear black at all times. So that's hard for me, but I really, I'm trying.
Well, see, Fayre, and that's good for people to hear because it just shows you don't have to have everything figured out all at once. Like there are things that are going to come easier to you than others. And there's going to be things that it might take you a couple months to fully implement. That's okay. The key is just that you're growing every day in some way, that you're taking those baby steps. So if there's, you know, I'm just making something up. If there's 50 things that you learned on the Zoom tonight, but you only implement 5, you know, for the rest of May, that's okay. Like you can have to revert back to your notes and in June be like, all right, what are 5 more things I'm going to implement? I already mastered these 5. That is how you're going to win and like really find that your efforts start compounding. Don't overwhelm yourself and burn yourself out in 1 week trying to do it all. Just take, you know, maybe some of these things you're already doing. And then there's a few things that sound really easy and you're like, I'm going to start those right away. Keep doing that and just keep building on it. So going along with what Fayre said about like the vibe, you know, she mentioned I do a lot of stuff at the beach. We live 5 minutes from Fort Myers Beach. So we go to the beach all the time. Sometimes we even just go after school for an hour or 2 or go at sunset. So obviously that's really easy for me. Just like Fayre, you know, they go out on the boat all the time. That's easy for them to do because they've got a boat. If you're like, oh, that totally doesn't, you know, relate to me at all, then think of what you can do. I know one of, our girls on the team, she lives in Tennessee and she lives like really close to like different, what do you call it? Like state parks where she can go hiking and are just really beautiful, like rivers and hills. And she's always putting that kind of stuff in her story. And she's super naturey and loves, you know, going out barefoot and walking and, you know, and grounding and all that good stuff. And so that's something that like people know her for, and they even like ask her questions about because she's always posting about it. So again, you don't have to like live in Florida to figure out like how this, our tips with that work for you. What is something you love about where you live? Think of something that you can consistently share, or maybe there's a park by your house that you take your kids to all the time and y'all love it. Like that could be something that you frequently get content at, and people will start to, become familiar with. So it can be the littlest ways, it can be big ways. Don't overthink it. But one thing I want to encourage everyone is like really ask yourself, like, what is the vibe you want people to like feel when they're at your page? So like for me, I really focus on being inspirational. I've always been a writer since I was young. And so I really love writing. So my stuff is going to be inspirational. It's going to be stuff that I write from my heart. But there might be someone else on here that you're like, I don't really like writing, but I am, really funny. I can make some great jokes. Okay, so maybe your stuff's going to be funny. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be like any one person, but like what is the vibe you want? Do you want people to think you're funny? Do you want them to laugh when they come to your page? Do you want to be inspirational? Do you want to really make people think? Are you someone that like really can do great heart to hearts, like have those hard talks on social media and face those issues with people, going live, chatting about things that like people want to talk about, but most people are scared to talk about. So I'm just giving you some things to think about, but like ask yourself, like, if any of those things resonate with you, or if it's something totally different, but what is the vibe you want people to feel when they're at your page? Do you have anything Fayre you want to kind of tack onto that? I know you're really good, I feel like, at having that consistent vibe when people show up at your page, but like, is there anything I'm missing?
No, but I like that you said like where they live. If you don't have like landscape that's pretty also, you can literally just like start making reels of yourself walking. That's going to be your vibe, is you walk and make a reel. Like I have this one girl on my page, she's a massive influencer, and every reel she posts is her just walking and looking at the camera. But I know when I'm scrolling and I see that vibe, her walking, I know whose reel it is instantly. Like she has defined that is what she does in reels. She doesn't deviate from the plan. That's her vibe. So if you're like, I really don't have a vibe, it can be as simple as that, walking and staring at the camera and smiling and then, looking this way. Or maybe you love to cook. You can just start videoing yourself cooking, literally. It doesn't have to be like overcomplicated or the best, geographical place. It can just be something that you just consistently do and people are like, oh, that lady loves to cook. I know her. I know those reels. You really just have to, again, if it's one of your 5 pillars, stick with one of them. I either do boating reels or fitness reels almost every time. Like those are my 2, or family, obviously, because I put my kids in some reels. But it's like those are my reels. I don't try to go out and make a video, content day. It's just like if we're riding on the golf cart to the boat, that's my reel. If my kids are with me, that's my reel. So just find those 5 pillars are going to carry through everything, really. Truly, that's all you need to focus on to start, is finding those 5 pillars.
Yeah. And to kind of tack on what Fayre was saying about like the cooking example, is like the things that you can establish yourself as an expert in with your audience, whether like Fayre said, it's fitness or it's cooking or whatever it is. Maybe it's parenting. Maybe you really, really, feel like there's some things that you figured out in parenting that you're really proud of. And you're like, you know what, like, I feel like these things that other kids struggle with, my kids aren't struggling with anymore because we've kind of nailed that. We've kind of mastered that. Maybe you do parenting reels. But whatever it is, like if you can establish yourself as an expert in specific areas, even if it's just one to start, what's going to happen is people are going to start to really trust you and like look at you as an expert in that field. And that's only going to bleed over with more trust in your business, in products, in your product recommendations and things like that. Like with us, with our clean eating, like when I announced all my health issues and, shared that we were going to be doing an email list weekly for anybody that wanted to subscribe to it. We were going to send, 1 or 2 recipes out a week that were clean, that people could, take and, implement, use themselves at home, try out, whatever. I had a lot of people that subscribed. And what's crazy is some of those people are not people that I would like, that I had any, like, they never reached out to me about anything before, in any of my other businesses or anything like that. But what's crazy is after being on that email list for a few months and like realizing like we do know what we're talking about with this kind of stuff, like I'm now having a lot of those people reach out about products. They're like, okay, like I've been doing your way of eating and I'm feeling better. Can you tell me about that drink you're always posting about? So that's gonna, like, when you guys really nail your 5 pillars and start sticking to them, I promise you're gonna start noticing that more and more, because people that are maybe just following you for your cooking videos or your workout videos or your parenting reels or your marriage tips or whatever, as they start connecting with you more and more, and you start building trust with them, and they start really like appreciating the value that you're showing up and giving and the tips you're offering, what's going to happen is they're just going to realize, oh, I could probably trust them about some more things too. They know what they're talking about, you know? So I encourage you to kind of look at it like that and make sure that you're being intentional, that not all your content is business. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you are doing a good job at sharing some of those pillars that have nothing to do with the business, nothing to do with the products. Because, you know, people don't want to come and just see a walking billboard 24/7, but they do love to see someone that's authentic and someone that's truly just showing up about the things they love. And that can be business and that can be products, but you want to make sure you're showing them the other things you care about, because that's only going, I promise you, to come back to you tenfold in business, in customers, you know, new consultants, new customers, the whole 9 yards, because people are going to start feeling that connection with you, and that's invaluable. So we talked a little bit about like knowing who your ideal audience is. So as you're thinking of your 5 pillars, or maybe you already have them down pat, you already knew exactly when we brought it up what yours were. The next thing you want to clarify is like, who is my ideal audience? So for me, I work with mostly moms, not saying they have to be mom of little kids. Like, I work with empty nester moms. I work with moms that have younger kids than me. I work with, you know, moms that are the same age as, you know, many of us on here. Like, it doesn't matter, but like, that's typically my niche, is like women with kids, whether they're growing out of the house, whether they're still in the house, whether they're just now having their first baby. Because, you know, as a mom of 5, like, it kind of doesn't really matter what stage people are in. Like, if they're a mom, they usually feel like they've got something they can kind of click with me on. And so that's just typically who I add. So when I'm growing, I typically add women. And then not just women, I typically add moms. Now I do add, like, you know, girls in college and things like that. Like, again, don't overcomplicate it, but you do want to kind of keep, like, when you're intentionally growing, you want to kind of keep your focus on a specific demographic. You know, I don't want to speak for anyone on here, but like Mick, if you want to share who your ideal audience is, like maybe Mick is adding more men, maybe he's going to golfing and fishing pages and, you know, following people like that. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just like, who do you want to attract? Who do you feel like you could connect with the most? Who do you want to feel like, if you had in a perfect world, if you could get 10,000 new followers tomorrow, who would you want them to be? That's an important question to ask yourself. Do you want to add more to that, Fayre? I feel like you've got, again, like
Trying
with
to
your,
see if Nick was commenting in the chat. Hang on. Oh no, that was somebody else. Sorry.
yeah,
No, I mean, mine's the same. I do. Moms are my most relatable, you know, person, and I like to go after moms who specifically like to take care of themselves, fitness, you know. So
yeah,
it's pretty similar that when I'm adding people, I go look at their, I hate to say it, but their body type. I look at their hobbies. Do they like to work out? Are they more, it's just, I know that they're going to relate to me and I'm going to relate to them, because it's not just about adding them for business. I actually genuinely want to make connections online too. So if I'm going and following someone that's completely opposite of me, there's not going to be much of a connection. And I don't really add a lot of men unless I actually know them in real life, just because,
same,
again,
yeah,
we're not going to have much in common.
yeah,
I'd
same.
love to hear from Mick if he's available, though. If you can drop in the chat, Mick, I would love to know what like your target audience is. I'm assuming men, and I'd love to know how you do that, because my husband's really going to start taking a deep dive into this business. He worked our first business like crazy, and he's just been kind of lost ever since. And I'm like, you've got to find your place here.
Hey, ladies, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You know what? I was just telling Mike Patillo, I said I'm on here with Brittany and Fayre, and I'm like, I'm learning so much already, because what's funny is I do a lot of social media, and it's based around faith, family, freedom, golf, fishing, and of course, health and wellness. But I don't really have like a strategy, like target market or anything. I just kind of share what's going on in my life each day a little bit. And it's nothing fancy. I don't try to pick my colors and all that. I don't do any of that. I just share consistently, though. And the consistency, I think, is what really pays off, and why I recruit a lot of people from social media, just because I'm very consistent. I
Yeah,
show up. Even when I don't feel like it, you know, I post something. Like right now, a big thing in my life is we lost our family pet and we got a new puppy. And so right now I'm kind of sharing a lot about that, because I'm not fishing, because I'm taking care of the puppy. So I don't really map it all out. I just kind of throw it out there, what's going on in mixed life. And for me, that seems to work pretty good. But I also understand what you guys are talking about. If you want to really create a brand where somebody's scrolling through and they just see like a background and they already know it's you because you're so consistent with your message and your branding. That's really good stuff. So I've already got a page of notes here from you too. So thank you.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Like that consistency is everything, which is why at the beginning of this, we hit hard. Do not overcomplicate. Like we're giving you tips so you can tweak things, so you can get better at your branding. However, don't think like, oh, well, I don't have any of that figured out yet, so I'm just not going to post till I do. Because at the end of the day, done is better than perfect. And so if you're showing up consistently every single day and just trying to get a little better every day, like that is going to always come back to you versus like trying to have it all perfect and like paralysis by overanalysis. So but yeah, that being said, another thing that I wanted to hit on, and Fayre, you actually got a question I just saw in the chat, if you want to answer that first.
I do. I don't post super consistently about it because that business is more my sphere of influence. Like I only do local real estate. So it's people, most of my referrals most of my business comes from referrals. So I do post because I have several listings right now. So obviously I'll post them publicly, but mostly just so I can share them into real estate pages. I'm not super consistent about posting about real estate on my page because truly my main income is from network marketing. So it's kind of, I don't want people to get confused and be like, wait a minute, she actually makes money from real estate, but she's always pretending you know what I mean? Like, no, I actually make my money from network marketing and real estate is a side gig. So I do, but not very consistently.
Yeah. Next kind of topic we're going to go into is pictures. I know a lot of you have messaged me asking like how I edit pictures and stuff, and I actually keep it really simple. So I'm going to share it with you. But beyond anything, I just want to say first and foremost, since we're talking about not overcomplicating, is make sure they're bright, make sure they're clear. So if the tip I'm going to share, you're like, I don't even know how to do that. That's okay. I'm going to tell you how, but like, if it's something you're not going to implement right away, that's fine. What you can do in the interim is like during the day, if you're going to take a picture in your house, make sure light's on your face. So like my kitchen is not very well lit. My kitchen is like yellow light and like, there's not really a lot of windows around it. However, if I step right through, our open concept into the living room, we've got the sliding glass doors that go out to the lanai. There's a lot of light by those. So rather than like take a picture of my body shot in the kitchen where the lighting's terrible, I'm just going to step a few feet into, more my living room by the door. And I'm going to take that picture with the light on my face because that's going to make a way brighter picture, for my story or whatever I'm doing, than if I did it in the like yellow lighting in the kitchen. All you girls who have good bathroom lighting, you're going to laugh at this, but like my bathroom, there's a big window by my bathtub. And the lighting's amazing there. It's actually better by the bathtub than it is the mirror in the sink where I get ready. So when I'm doing anything in the bathroom, like I keep my sunray in my bathroom. So if like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go in front of the bathtub and just like, again, all that bright light's coming in. I'll just like hold whatever I'm going to hold, do my story, talk, whatever. So just little simple shifts in what you're doing like that. You'll notice your pictures will look better. Your stories will look better. Your reels you record will look better. And you didn't have to do anything crazy. So that's the simple part of that. But as far as for pictures, for those of you that you already feel like you're taking good pictures, you just want to really like kind of just take them to the next level, have more uniform look on your Instagram. If you download the app Lightroom, which it's free, it doesn't cost anything. Lightroom is what photographers use to edit their photos. So if you go get family photos made, or you get maternity photos, or you get wedding photos or whatever, you'll notice that, the raw photos they take is not what they deliver to you. They've edited them, and almost every photographer uses Lightroom. So this isn't like just some, like fad app is what I'm trying to say. Like this is a legit photo editing app. And there's a really simple way that you can kind of always edit your photos without having to even know how to use the app. And that is called presets. So if you search on Google, Lightroom presets, or you can even look at them on Instagram in the search bar, Lightroom presets, you'll find a lot of influencers on Instagram who sell their presets. And then on Google, you'll find plenty of, photographers and stuff who sell their presets. I would encourage you, like, once you're ready for this step, just look at several different presets, look at a lot until you see a vibe that you're like, oh, I love that. I love how, because they'll show you examples with their preset. They'll show you some outdoor photos, some indoor photos, kids, couples, nature, whatever. So once you find like a vibe that you're like, oh, I love every one of these, it's like, that's the preset I want. They're usually very inexpensive. Like you can usually buy a pack of presets for $10, It's nothing that's going to break the bank. And what you do is you buy them, they email them to you, they send you directions with how to save them to your Lightroom. It's takes a little bit of figuring out if you're not tech savvy, but it's not that hard. Like, you can do it. But once you get them, you just add them into your Lightroom, you'll follow the directions. And then when you go to edit a photo, you just put that preset on it. So it's really nice because it's one click of a button. You don't have to overcomplicate anything. So I'll just show you like the difference a Lightroom preset makes. Let me lower my exposure so you guys can see this. But this is a photo that like my husband and I took outside last week. Some of you who follow me may have seen me post it. That's with the preset. This is what the original photo looks. So see, it's just kind of dull. And with my preset on it, it doesn't change it. It doesn't put makeup on you or anything like that. It literally just, that's the original, just brightens you up. It's just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Again, this is why everyone loves their professional pictures from photographers. You know, you get those back and you're like, oh my gosh, I look amazing. They didn't do anything crazy. They didn't Photoshop you a nose job or put lipstick on you. Like, all they do is they put a really good preset on that just makes your skin look a little more bright and alive. You know, there's a little bit more red, you know, rosiness in your cheeks. Like, it just brings out your natural features better. So I'm a big fan of presets because you're not like putting like a fake Snapchat filter on something, and no judgment for anyone that does that. My kids do that. But like, I really love to look at presets because it keeps your stuff looking professional, very aesthetic. And then if you use the same preset on every photo, it just you kind of have that theme on your Instagram, kind of like you've got your highlights and your colors. Like, it's just one more thing that when people look at your stuff, like, it looks like you know, they start to really be familiar with it. So, the one that I use is called, it's from Alexa Jean. If you look her up on Instagram, she sells, or no, I'm sorry. I used to use Alexa Jean a long time ago, like years ago. It's Chelsea Jean. So Alexa Jean has a lot of really good ones too. If you're like listening to this and you want to do it, but you have no idea where to start, look up Alexa Jean on Instagram, look up Chelsea Jean. The one I use is Chelsea Jean's Beachy. I bought a pack that had like beachy, gold, food. It had a few in it, and they're all really similar. Basically, they just give you like a pack of 5 to use on different things. So I pretty much, because we're in Florida, beachy looks good on almost everything I do. My food stuff, I'll put food because it kind of makes the colors in food pop more intentionally. But that's it. That's all that I do. It's easy. It's one click of a button. So again, if you're someone that you're like, I'm just trying to learn how to take good photos, start with the window trick. Start with just going outside or standing in front of a window. If you're outside, you want the sun to be on your face, not behind you. Those are just little things you can do to start getting some better pictures taken. And then maybe 3 months from now, you're like, all right, I'm nailing good pictures. Now I'm going to buy my presets. And for those of you that feel ready to do that now, like I said, it's a very inexpensive, and there's even free presets, by the way. So you can find free ones. But even the ones you buy, they're never more than, they're never more than 10, $20. So that's a really simple thing that you can do to like invest in your branding in a not complicated way, if that makes sense.
I love that. I was just going to add a couple things that are also like, so I have Lightroom. I use both Lightroom and PicTapGo because I like the crispity app filter on PicTapGo. But something else, if this is like a little too tech savvy for you guys, or maybe you're just like, oh my gosh, so many apps, so much to do, go on Amazon, buy some super cheap lighting things. If you don't have great natural light in your house, I have a lot of really, you can tell a lot of bad lighting in my house. I have some good windows, which are also my favorites, but this is my office and it's got terrible lighting, and like a couple of my rooms just have really bad lighting. So I have like one of these literally in almost every room in my house. It's like, you can get like a pack of 10 on Instagram. It's a little ring light. It goes right on your phone. I have like them in every room in my house just randomly, so that if the lighting sucks, I can just make my own lighting. Or I have a ring light on right now behind me, which is why my glasses are all just to help, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed. Like when Lightroom first came out, my sister's a photographer and she was like doing these insane things with it, and she was like, yeah, you just got to fix the green part and the orange part and the exposure and the this, and I was like, oh my god, and I ended up just buying a preset because I was like, I can't do all that. But seriously, sometimes I need to get a post up. I grab my little ring light and boom, I have better lighting. That, and also like iPhone's so great now, you can edit a picture, just go right to it and edit it just to make it. So if you're just starting at taking pictures or selfies or whatever, you don't have to like get super overwhelmed. Again, there's just simple little things you can do. One thing that Lightroom has is like a blur option. So if your background's a little crazy, sometimes my kids' rooms aren't the cleanest or whatever, I'll just use the blur option. Obviously, another great thing that just is on iPhones, I'm sorry if y'all have Androids, I don't know, but it's like portrait mode. It gives such a better you know, photograph. So if you're like, I don't know if I want to get into all these apps, just start doing simple things like using portrait mode instead of regular photo mode. It will give you, I mean, assuming you have, you know, the right lighting going on and stuff. Portrait can also be a little tricky because it does blur the background automatically for you, but it can make for such better quality photos, those simple things.
Yeah. And I'm telling you guys, like, if you get some good portrait photos, like maybe those of you that have kids, maybe you just like take your kids to the park tomorrow, get some awesome portrait photos of them, you know, with like the playground and stuff in the background or trees in the background or whatever. Like, if you do go brighten those up or like throw a preset on them or whatever, I promise you, like, people will be like, was that a professional photo? Like, it's amazing how good the camera is with, you know, the newer iPhones and using portrait mode. And like, by the time you brighten it up, like, again, it's going to look amazing. So, those are, you know, and that's another little hack I'll give you. Like, if you're a mom and you're like, man, I'm struggling on content because I just feel like I never look good for pictures, or like, you know, it takes me so long to get ready by the end of the day. And then I'm doing pick up and drop off or whatever. Like, get pictures of your kids. Like, some of my best opportunity posts that I've written are pictures of just my kids. And then I will write my story about like, this is my why, like, this is why I work hard. This is why I show up, you know, and create a better future. It's for them. I don't want them to ever hear, you know, mommy saying maybe one day. I want them to know that like I'm working now to make it happen. So like those kind of posts that I write, perfect photos or perfect posts that just to do a photo of the kids. So again, like, these are simple ways you can get that content. Like Fayre said, getting one of your kids or your spouse to, you know, do a little quick 10-second video of you walking in the street in front of your house or walking at the park or whatever. Those are easy ways you can, you know, get some content, write some things on it. Fayre and I both do a lot of videos. So if you need some like ideas for just quick videos, I encourage you to look at our reels, because one thing you'll notice is none of them are like anything that was super well thought out. Like, most of my videos, it's just like literally me walking somewhere. But what I'm writing is what the meat and potatoes is. Like, that's the part that is really drawing people in. It's not that I took 5 hours to get this perfect video. The video took me less than a minute. It's just the thoughtfulness that I put into like what I wrote. So, those are, you know, some of my best tips just to like get what you need in a simple way and not overcomplicate it. And I love, Fayre, that you mentioned like not having a lot of apps, because one thing I do consulting for like local people that will come to my house, and I'll like train them on social media. And it's just like, you know, we'll meet a couple hours a week. And one thing that I just got done telling a client last week, she had all these apps on her phone that she had seen on YouTube to download. And she like couldn't even remember what each one was for. And I was like, no, I was like, we're not doing all that. I was like, listen, this app, and this app, that's all you need. That's all I use. And at the end of it, she was like, I am so relieved to hear you say that. She's like, because I was over here driving myself crazy, trying to remember everything. So what I told her is, I said, Lightroom. Retouch is another app that I absolutely love. I believe it's $1.99, but it's a one-time fee. It's not a monthly fee, but this is what it looks like. It's that app right there. And what I love about it, and now the iPhone does do this now. So maybe use your iPhone to do it first and then see if you need it. I just am really partial to this app because I've had it for years and it works really, really, really well. But what's nice about Retouch is you can take anything out of a photo that you don't want and it takes it seamlessly out. So maybe you had like an ugly cord in the background of your really pretty picture that you're proud of, like Retouch will take it right out. You know, maybe you took a really great photo, but you know, you had a huge zit on your face and you're like, I don't want that on there. Retouch, it'll look like it was never there. There's lots of things you can take out. Maybe there's just something in the background that you wish wouldn't have been in the background, but you saw it after the fact and you don't want to go redo the whole photo. Retouch. Now again, my kids have shown me that the new iPhone update, you can do it right in Photos. You can edit the photo and do it there, and it works pretty well. So try that first before you spend the $1.99. But if you're like, this is not quite as flawless, I'm telling you, this is flawless. So if you feel like at any point you need that, what I told her, my client that I was consulting with, was Retouch, Lightroom, and then Studio, which is owned by GoDaddy. And that is this app. I use this to create so many things. I use it to create like our Zoom announcements, my YouTube covers. If you see anything on my Instagram, let me give you guys examples real quick. So like when I do carousels like this, I use GoDaddy Studio to do this. So like, this is just a picture of me and my husband. In GoDaddy Studio, you can make the opacity lower, and then it has so many different fonts. You can just write on it. So see, I just like literally wrote, you know, it's just 3 signs your body's overwhelmed. And then I wrote my caption and gave them a call to action. So like, I make easy content. Like, this was a day that like I did not feel like taking a new picture or new video, but we had been to the pool the day before and I had it posted. I only used it in my story. So boom, I just turned it into a carousel, you know, like I'm all about like done is better than perfect, practical, simple content that I can throw out fast, but that's effective. And so those are the apps that I used to do that: GoDaddy Studio, Lightroom, and Remove. And I don't use Remove a whole lot. So if you had to wait on that, not a big deal, but that's it. I don't use anything else crazy to edit anything. And you guys, you know, see me post consistently using only that. So, I encourage you, like, if you've got a lot going on your phone right now, maybe take some time to just like clean it up, because I do think when we, you know, clean up our space, clean up our phone, you know, just get everything decluttered and organized, it becomes so much easier to like let that creativity flow and like start feeling like you're actually in a good groove. So what are your favorite apps, Claire? Fayre. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I called you Claire.
So I was going to ask you, is GoDaddy Studio better than Canva?
I like it better than Canva. Just, I think it's more user friendly. I have Canva and I use Canva for certain things, but not very often. I think that it's a lot easier to manipulate things in GoDaddy Studio, like move it around. You know how in Canva sometimes you'll go to like click and then it's just not. Like GoDaddy Studio is just a lot easier, in my opinion.
I'm going to try it out. I use Canva, Lightroom, and PicTapGo. Those are my like top three.
Yeah.
I also am still guilty of boomerangs in my story. I love just like shaking
Yep.
body shot on Boomerang. It's such an easy app. It's like a 2-second video, but it's like it like speeds it up. And I love shaking a body shot on Boomerang. It's just so something where if I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get a story of me with the body shot, but I'm not in a place to make a video or whatever, I'll just do a quick Boomerang on there. So those are probably my 4 favorite. And the one you were talking about, so on iPhone now, if you have like a 14, 15, I don't really know. I don't know. I think mine's a 15. If you go to the like edit button and go to cleanup, that's the one that you can just like, I can just like remove this book on my desk that I don't like. It's so easy. You just literally like erase it. So I do use that a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we keep going, because we're going to start wrapping up, if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. That way we can answer them before we end. I haven't seen any questions so far, except the one question that Darlene asked Fayre. So if you guys have any, definitely drop them in there. At the end of the day, our hope for you guys is that you can take what you're learning and just start implementing the things that you can implement now. You know what I mean? Like, don't focus on being perfect. Don't focus on having to have it all figured out. If you're sitting down and you're looking at an app and you're trying to take 3 hours to make your content, that's not what we're telling you to do, you know? So like take the things that you can do now and just build upon it. And one thing too, like with Fayre saying Boomerang, like Boomerang's in Instagram. So you can literally like, I love Boomerang when I just like don't feel like doing a whole lot, but like I've got my body shot ready and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to put something in my story real quick. I've got to leave the house in 10 minutes. Again, this is one of those done is better than perfect. You just literally swipe to do your story. Go like this. There's your video, Fayre. Go like that. And then you're just going to click Boomerang, which is right there. And then boom, you can hold your phone out, do your little cheers or whatever you're going to do, write something on it, give a call to action, boom. So no pun intended. But that's an easy way that you can get something out there that didn't take you a lot of time. And it's still cute. It's still trendy, you know, like it didn't take anything crazy.
I have just like one more note here, Brittany, that I want to cover really quick because we've talked about consistency so much, but I want you guys to just understand that consistency, Brittany keeps saying it, like something is better than nothing. I had just like part of your branding is like adding a mix of value, lifestyle, inspiration, and behind the scenes content. So we don't want you to think like branding means all business all the time. It has to be a good dynamic of different types of content. So like I literally just wrote value, lifestyle, inspiration, and behind the scenes. So for me, adding value means educating on the products, educating on something that I feel knowledgeable about. Lifestyle, I'm on a boat a lot. So that's freedom for me. That's one of my 5 pillars is freedom. And I incorporate that into my lifestyle. It's a very free lifestyle. Inspiration, Brittany was saying that's her favorite thing. Obviously one of mine too. We talk about healing a lot, both inside and outside, you know, heart, head, body, and behind the scenes content. This is where you can post your funny stuff. Like I'll do some, you know, silly stuff sometimes where I'm like, oh, my one friend the other day, she did the best reel. She was making her body shot, but the lid popped and it went spraying everywhere. And she was like, when you're trying to get the best reel ever, and this is what happens. And it was actually hilarious because it was like, actually like, Instagram versus real life. It was really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. So just doing like, behind the scenes sometimes what actually building a business looks like and not what just your perfect pictures look like. So you can look at my stories right now. I posted a picture like getting ready to host a Zoom training. That's not pretty, but it's also showing that I actually do work and not just like always like I'm on a boat. So just showing up consistently and adding value, lifestyle, inspiration, and behind the scenes.
Yep. 100%. And then I'm going to give you guys one little bonus thing to write down. Some of you who have been on my power hours already are familiar with this. I didn't list this in my like must-have apps because this is not something I use every day. It's not something I even use every week, but it is something that I use when I do have some time to sit and be creative. If y'all saw the story I posted this morning, you will note that this is from this app. So there's an app called Unfold, also free. This is what it looks like. And it's a free app and it's just full of Instagram story templates where you like, it has a spot for the picture. You drop the picture. It's got a spot to write something. There's different fonts. And if you look at my story this morning, there's like 5 slides or something, but it's an opportunity story. So it just kind of walks you through my story through like 5 or 6 story slides. I made that in Unfold. And whenever I do power hours, I typically help everyone make like an Unfold story just because it's fun to do it together and then I can answer questions or whatever. But once you get the hang of it, like you can make something in Unfold in probably 10, 15 minutes. First time, if you're just playing around with it, it might take you 30, 45, but it's templates. It's all ready and they are beautiful. They're all really clean and aesthetic and minimalistic. And so I wanted to like kind of give you guys that bonus tip because if you have like a night that you're sitting and you're like, you know what, I want to make something really cool. It's not something that, again, you need to use every day, but it's something that definitely you can easily, quickly, for free, make some really pretty stuff to throw in your story. And I find that just using it for opportunity stuff is what does it for me. You could make product stuff with it, but I just do, opportunity stuff. And I find that I get a lot of people, I'll put like a poll at the end, or I'll just put like text opportunity. And usually though, either one of those call to actions, I'll get, people reaching out. So that's one little thing I wanted to leave y'all with. Marzia, you asked about CapCut. So I don't use CapCut. I know some people do. I use Edits, which is what Instagram's editing app is. Or I'll just edit it in Instagram for my videos, but I've never used CapCut, but I do know a lot of people love it. It's mostly in my experience, people that really like TikTok will use CapCut because CapCut is owned by TikTok. They'll use CapCut to do their videos, but I've always been more Instagram. So I've edited stuff in Instagram. And now that they have their app edits, I use that. I don't really use CapCut, but I've heard, the people that like it, they love it. So it's kind of one of those things, just like personal preference. Any other questions, guys, before we wrap up? Anything we're forgetting, Fayre?
I don't think so. I just wanted to say if anybody's struggling to like think of their 5 pillars, feel free to message me and I can help you brainstorm. I'll go look at your page and try to figure out your hobbies and interests and stuff like that and help you try to figure out those 5 pillars so that your content gets more consistent and more smooth flowing or whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the goal is just, we want you to be consistent above everything. So like done is better than perfect. Just show up consistently every single day. You'll hear that from every single leader in this company and any company you talk to. Like that is what leadership will tell you is like show up consistently. But at the end of the day, like just little steps of growth. You know what I mean? Like you're just going to get better and better. Like when I look back at the photos I posted when I first got in this industry 10 years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was terrible. But you know what? It still worked. I still signed people. And I'm proud that I've gotten better, but like, I didn't stress about it. I just learned as I went. I got better at taking photos. I got better at editing. I got better at, doing stuff. And so, Angela, you asked, what is a call to action? A call to action is just, when you do a business post or a product post, you want to give them a clear way to reach out to you. So for me, if you look at my product post, I almost always say something like drop a heart for info or comment body shot and I'll send you info. So that's a good product call to action. You don't want the call to action to be complicated. And don't say things like, let me know if you're interested. That's not a call to action. A call to action is like a clear way. You just told them, drop a heart and I'll send you info. Comment body shot, I'll send you info. And then for business, I do text opportunity too. And I put my phone number. I'm just going to go and say it on here. Because people always ask me, I have never had anybody be weird with my phone number. So don't overcomplicate that. Like put your phone number out there. If you connect with them on social media and they message you and you sign them, you're going to give them your phone number anyway. So what I have found about the phone number is people like a way to kind of just reach out anonymously. And so when you say text opportunity to blah, 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 if they're scared, they don't have to overthink it. They don't have to think about what to say to message you. They can just literally type your phone number, opportunity, and sit there and wait for a response. And then what I do is I just say like, hi, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm so excited to tell you more. What's your name? Once they say their name, I say, awesome, I'm going to send you a voice message. And then I just voice message them like a quick 2-minute message about the business and, ask them what questions they have. And we talk from there. Another opportunity call to action you could do is, if you've created a Google form, which Fayre and I talked about on another Zoom we did, I have mine like on some of my opportunity posts in the comments. So, and it's also in my bio on my Instagram. So if you want to go look at it, go look at that. That's also free to do. Sometimes I'll just drop the opportunity. Oh my gosh, what do I call it? I call it like an influencer application form. So, but it's a Google form. So I'll say like, if you're interested, if you would like more info, fill out my influencer application form in the comments and I'll connect with you. When they fill that out, they have to put their phone number, they have to put their email, they put if they found me on Instagram or Facebook. So again, I have a lot of info about them right out of the gates. I get an email that they filled it out. Now I can text them, So those are pretty much my two opportunity call to actions is text opportunity to my phone number or fill out the influencer application in the comments and I'll connect with you. And then for products, drop a heart or, comment body shot, comment happy if for Sunray. So little simple ways, keep it, stupid simple. If you overwhelm someone, they're not as likely going to reach out to you. But if you give them a really quick, easy way to reach out, they're so much more likely. If you guys look at my last few product posts on Facebook, you'll notice that like all the Body Shot ones, there is several hearts being dropped on each one. What's happening is like the more consistent I'm talking about Body Shot and the more simple I'm giving them ways to reach out, someone might have seen a Body Shop post 10 times and now they're finally ready to ask for info. They're at work, they're driving, whatever. They don't have to think. It's a heart. And then boom, they know I'm going to message them. So that's my biggest tip of call to action, just keep it simple. Don't overthink it.
If I can ask?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to go back to, how do you say Fayre?
Fair.
Fayre. What you offered to take a look at my profiles. And, I've always been somewhat of what I call a chameleon, because I've always gone with the flow of whatever the room's atmosphere happens to be, get along with everybody, blend in. I've hung out with the cheerleaders and with the druggies on the side of the street. I didn't do any of either one of them, but I've just kind of been able to blend in like a chameleon. So I don't really know, who I am or what I am. I know that I am a caregiver and I like to help people. Sometimes it gets to the point where, people get annoyed because they think, I don't know, I guess in a way they think I'm shoving things down their throat when really I'm not. I try to tiptoe around things. Because I've never had a weight problem, never had medical issues or anything like that. But for me to be in this side of it and to, help people, I kind of feel like, people look at me and they're like, yeah, how do you really know what any of us are really going through? All I know is how to avoid what you're going through. And I just like to share that. Just because I've researched it, because I'm a researcher. I don't read books, I research. So I guess I kind of need some direction in that. And how I can formulate that and where I'm going with it. Because I kind of feel like I'm all over the board. I'm also a realtor. So you'll see, that over there. And sometimes they blend because I don't know what I'm logged into when I start posting, and it just, oh crap, it's on the wrong one.
Well,
I tagged everybody.
In what you just said, I just learned 3 pillars about you. Well, one of them you didn't say, but you have cannabis in your name. So I would say you're a pro garden woman. I use the word garden when I talk about THC on Facebook because you can get flagged for using words like THC and cannabis, marijuana. So you're a gardener. That would be one thing. That would be it may be a little controversial for some, but in my last company, we did CBD and THC products. And I tell you what, I had a big following that agreed with that. So that would be one thing about you. You told me you're a caregiver. That's another thing about you. You told me you're a researcher. You like to learn and you can help people, educate people because you're a researcher. So I just heard 3 pillars, or I read one and I heard 2 out of you. So we just got to find 2 more. And boom, we've nailed who Marzia is. And it might not be, those might not be it, but I'm just saying you do have things that make you special and unique. We just got to kind of pull them out, you know? But seriously, you just mentioned 2. So you've got things that we can find that make you relatable to you.
How go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, you mentioned like, you feel like people can't always relate to you because you've never struggled with weight or had any major health issues. But one thing that you've been sharing very vulnerably that I've noticed, and that I think this is something you can run with that's relatable, is you have shared that with the loss you've experienced, and the grief, that, you've been depressed. Like you've had days where you felt like you couldn't get out of bed. Like everyone, whether they've dealt with weight issues or health issues or not, like most everyone has at some point experienced that feeling of just feeling like, I don't know how to pick up the pieces from here. So I think like that would be a way that you can relate to people who may or may not have other things in common with you, but you can still speak vulnerably and get their attention to like, okay, like she does know how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? She might not be dealing with this same issue that I'm feeling, but like she gets that. And like my mental health is struggling. So she seems to have something that she's got her hands on that's working. Cause I feel like that you've been doing a great job being vulnerable with that. So I'd kind of like also approach things from that angle on like just healing and rebuilding after dealing with things.
Well, what would actually be my target audience then? Because that's what I struggle with is, who's my target?
I would say caregivers. Caregivers are people that like to help people and genuinely love people. That would be someone that if you're a caregiver and
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, they're going to be like, I love helping people too. I'm also a caregiver. I'm a mom, so that's different from a caregiver, but I'm caring for my little ones, and that's why moms can relate to me. You know what I mean? So being
Right.
someone that loves to help people.
And also, Marzia, like, a lot of caregivers are very burnout. And so like you sharing like, hey, I've been there, like I've hit rock bottom. I dealt with all this loss and like, felt X, Y, and Z, but like now I'm using things that I'm getting my energy back. I'm feeling better. Like there's going to be other caregivers that can relate to that are like, I'm like literally at my wit's end, like I am drowning. And then your story is going to give them that hope. So I totally agree with Fayre, like approaching your growth, your audience growth from that angle. I feel like you're going to start accumulating friends on Facebook, followers on Instagram that, not only need what you have, but can feel like they've got that connection with you right out of the gates where that trust is going to be microwave faster. Michelle,
that actually might work in the shift of what I'm thinking, because I'm always trying to post to help the patient or the person, the family member that's going through like what my father went through, when I should actually be targeting the caregiver to help them help the others, but help themselves.
Yeah. And Michelle just put in the chat, Marzia, nurses, hospice workers, like et cetera. That would also be good people you can add, because even though they might not be in the exact same position as you, they're still going to be able to relate to everything you're saying. You know what I mean? So.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Direction.
Of course. Does anybody else have any last minute questions before we wrap up? Nope. Well, thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you for showing up and investing in yourself. If you, like Fayre said, if any of you guys have any questions that you need either one of us to answer, in the coming days, feel free to message us, message either one of us. We're both an open book. And we're here to help you grow. And just, again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but done is better than perfect. Take some things that you learned tonight, start implementing them. Don't try to do, 200 things at once. Just take a few things and build upon it from there. And you're going to find that if you can stay consistent, 6 months from now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I'm in such a good groove. It might not even take that long. It might be 3 months from now, 1 month from now, but the key is just that you're moving forward, So we love you guys, and we hope that this was helpful and valuable for y'all. And we look forward to doing another one here soon.
One last question.
Yeah.
Because I do have multiple things that I do as an entrepreneur, is it a good thing to tag all your other pages and profiles? Or should, when I'm just talking about health and wellness, just tag that. And if I'm doing real estate, just tag that. Should I keep them separate?
I would post on like your main page for stuff, you know, like your main Facebook page. I would keep your content just on that. Unless you have a ton of followers that are on the other pages that aren't on the main one. But I think your main one has the most. So I would just probably keep everything going on your main.
Well, it's not really a main one. I have a main one when it comes to Physician Cannabis Center. I have a main one when it comes to Southern World Realty that was way before the cannabis one. And then I have the page for my, luxury car business.
Yeah.
So I just, sometimes I tag all of them. So they
Yeah.
end up on all their profiles, but is that good or bad or indifferent?
I mean, it's not bad if you're just going to tag it so it shows up on all three, so you're covering your basis and your different friends from each one can see. That's totally fine.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
then-
guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Angela asked, what about posting our link to stories? Yes or no? So Angela, this is my advice. This is not necessarily right or wrong, but this is what I have found. Cheap products like Sunray, K21, Shake, anything that is like a negligible amount to spend, and also someone doesn't have to think very hard about it. Like they heard the benefits of Sunray. Yes, I want to buy it. Like that kind of stuff I'll link in my story. Yes. Body Shot, I do not, because with Body Shot, I want to explain to them. And also I want to tell them, if it's a man, I'm going to recommend Sport. If it's a woman, I'm going to recommend Platinum. If it's someone that is getting it for like their elderly parent and they've got something serious going on, they want to take it multiple times a day, I'm going to probably recommend the original and get one of the bundle boxes where they get several boxes. So all that to say, there's just too many factors there. I don't link Body Shot. I also, when people ask me about Body Shot, I sell them the bundle of Body Shot, Super Greens and Reds, and Sunray. I don't even know if there is a bundle for customers, but I say it's a bundle and then I add it all to the cart for them. So because of that, I find that if I keep control of that conversation, it goes better. So bigger purchases, I wouldn't put a link. I would give them a call to action to message you. So in your story, you could put like DM me Body Shot for info, and then you take over from there. If it's just Sunray that you did a story about, or just K21 or something like that, absolutely throw the link if you want. I had a couple people that impulsed buy Sunray from my story last month. I just put the link and I just said, it's literally less than $20. It's a game changer. You're going to love it. Click the link, thank me later. And I had I think 2 people in like a 2-day period that did that. So I find for the cheaper products, yes. More expensive products, no. Let them come to you. The one other thing, the benefit that you've got about them having to come to you is now they're interested. You can follow up with them. You can't follow up with someone that you never knew was interested because you just gave them all the info they needed. So that's kind of my line of thinking for that. All righty. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. If y'all need anything else, just message us, but we hope this was helpful and we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.